Login as root. So do rescue hyphen. So login as Jenkins. So here what we are discussing is so we are discussing about the Maven, right? So what is a Maven? Maven is a build automation tool. Okay. So if you want to perform the build, right, to perform the compilation, testing, packaging. So these operations, right? So we need Maven. With the help of the Maven only, we can build our project. Okay. So what this Jenkins will do, Jenkins will trigger the build, but actual build operation will be performed by the Maven only. So for that reason, we need Maven. So if we need Maven, we have to install the Maven, right? So here you can check whether Maven is available or not by using mvn hyphen hyphen version. This one, this command will show the Maven version. Okay. So mvn hyphen hyphen version. So command mvn not found means we have to install the Maven. Okay. So here, so before installing the Maven, so if you see here, so what this Maven will do is mm, so what this Maven will do is by using the Maven, we can perform all the build activities, right? So how the Maven is going to work? Maven will will work depending on the pom.xml file. So what is this pom.xml file? So pom.xml file is like a reference. Okay. So by using this pom.xml file only, Maven will perform the required activities. So what this pom.xml file will have is it will have all the project information like group ID. Okay, so project ID and version, which version of the code we have, and the dependencies, libraries. Okay, so goals, so repositories, all the information will be available under pom.xml file. Okay, so here no need to bother about the pom.xml file. So we are going to get this pom.xml file from the respective development team. Okay, so the respective development team will push this pom.xml file to the GitHub repository. So just what we have to do is we have to integrate our Jenkins with the GitHub repository, and we have to pull this pom.xml file, and Maven will take care of, will take the help of this pom.xml file. Maven will build the project. Okay, so that is what going to happen with the pom.xml file. So with the pom.xml file, we have parent pom and child pom also. So, it depends on the requirement. Okay. So now, so while working with Maven, right? If you see here, where it is. So while working with Maven, right? So this Maven will have different types of repositories. So what are the different repositories we'll have is so we'll have local repo. Okay, so we'll have remote repo. Okay, and we'll have central repo. So these are the different types of repositories we will have with the Maven. So here, if you see, so this is the local repository. Okay, and this one is the remote repository, and this one is the central repository. Okay, so Maven will take the help of these repositories while getting the information about the pom.xml file, dependencies, libraries. Okay, so properties, whatever it is. Okay, so from the pom.xml file, so development team is going to define the dependencies, libraries, properties, everything in the pom.xml file. So so what this Maven will do is So Maven will get that dependencies and properties details from these repositories. Okay, so the local repository will be available in the server where we installed Maven. Okay, so whenever we install Maven, so under Maven home directory, there will be .m2 folder. Okay, so this .m2 directory will become the local repository. Okay, so all the dependencies, all the Maven dependencies and properties will be available under .m2 folder. So this .m2 folder will be available under Maven home directory. Okay, so what this Maven will do is whenever Maven is trying to build the project, so depending on the pom.xml file, so while it is trying to get the dependencies or properties information, so it will check that properties from this local repository. Okay, Maven will try to get the properties from the local repository. So if the properties are available in the local repository, so Maven will continue the build operation. So let us consider the properties are not there in the local repository. Okay, so our development team defined some new properties, new dependencies. Okay, so then what is going to happen? So in that case, the Maven will try to get the new dependencies from the remote repo. Okay, so this remote repo will be organization specific. So every organization will maintain their own remote repository. So what this remote repository will have? So this remote repository will have the properties and dependencies of for our build operation. Okay, so here you can see JFrog. So this remote repository is like JFrog or Nexus. So any third-party repositories. Okay, so in real time, and our organizations will use one of the third-party repository like JFrog Artifactory or Nexus, and all the dependencies and properties will be stored in this Artifactory tools. Okay, so if the required dependencies and properties are not there in the local repository, what this Maven will do? Maven will try to get the dependencies from the remote repository. Okay, so from the remote repository, it will get that properties for the first time only. From the next time, so it will store the dependencies in the local repo also, local repo itself. Because so again in the next build, if we need that properties, right? In that case, from the local repository itself, so Maven will try to use that properties. Okay. So is it clear? Any doubts here? Any doubts here?
No, sir, it's good.
Okay.
Yes,
So
sir. Yes, I have. Sir, I have one doubt. So
yes,
this remote repository was GitHub or Bit
it depends.
bucket or
It
something.
depends. Yeah, yeah. It depends on the organization. Okay. So most of the cases, remote repository will be like artifact tools, like a JFrog and Nexus, like that. Okay. So any
Okay.
repository, it is not compulsory to use only these Nexus and JFrog. Any repository,
Hmm.
the organizations can use. Just what they are doing, they are going to store the dependencies properties. They are going to maintain the
Okay.
properties in this particular repository. Okay. So like that,
Okay.
every organization will have their own remote repository. Okay.
So basically, JFrog or Nexus is same as like Bitbucket or
These,
GitHub, right?
no, these are the artifactory tools. Okay, so we are going to get a different versions of the artifactories, right? So artifacts, right? So we already discussed after the packaging operation, we'll get artifact one,
Mm-hmm.
artifact two, like that.
Right.
So
Uh-huh.
these
Uh-huh.
versions of the artifacts will be stored in these artifactory tools. We have some popular artifactory tools like JFrag and Nexus. These are the popular artifact tools. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Just will maintain the versions of the artifacts only.
Okay. Got it.
So now, so let us consider the properties are not there in the remote repository itself. Okay. If the properties are not there in the remote repository also, then what Maven has to do? So in that case, what the Maven will do is Maven will try to get that properties from the central repository. Okay, so this central repository will be maintained by the Apache Maven. Maven is from Apache. Okay, so Apache Maven organization will maintain all the dependencies and properties in the central repository. Okay, so if the properties are not there in the remote repository, in that case, so Maven will try to get that properties from the central repository. Okay, so in this case, what is going to happen is, so for the first time only, Maven will get the dependencies from the central repository to the remote repository, and from remote repository to the local repository. So this will happen for the first time only. From the next time, again, if we are going to use the same properties, right? So no need to bother. So already the properties will be saved in the local repository. So Maven will take care of the local repo properties itself. Okay, so this is how the things are going to happen while working with the Maven. Okay, so now here, if you see here, here, while working with the Maven, right? Maven has some life cycle. Maven is going to have different stages in its life cycle. Okay, Maven has different stages in its life cycle. So what are the different phases we have with the Maven life cycle is, so we'll have clean stage. Okay, so site and default. So these are the main phases in the Maven life cycle. Okay, so clean, site, default. So these are the main phases we have in the Maven life cycle. So in the clean phase, what this Maven will do is, so if we have any old builds for the given project, if we have any old builds, that old builds will be cleaned up by the Maven. Maven is going to clean the old bits information. So this phase we are calling as the clean phase. And similarly, we have site phase. So in the site phase, right? So what this Maven will do is Maven will generate the project documentation. Okay, for the complete project, right? So Maven will generate some documentation for the reference. Okay, and the next phase is a default phase. So in the default phase, again, you will have different stages. So default phase is the main phase in the Maven life cycle. Okay, so clean phase, we are going to clean the old bits. In the site phase, we are going to generate the documentation. But default phase is the very important phase in the Maven life cycle. Okay, so in the default phase, again, you will have different stages. So what are the different stages we'll have? So we'll have validate, compile, test, package, install, deploy. Okay, so these are the different stages we have under default life cycle, default phase. Okay, so under default phase, what this Maven will do is, so the first stage will be validation. Okay, so what validation means, whenever we receive the source code, okay, so the source code will be validated by the Maven. Okay, so whether the source code is as per the requirement or not, that validation will happen in the validate phase. Okay, if there is a mismatch in the source code alignment or configuration, so simply build is going to fail. Simply build is going to fail, and we'll get the errors like so validation validation failed, like that. Okay, so this is the validate phase. So project in under validate phase, project will be validated by the Maven. So Maven will check whether all the required information is available in the code or not. Okay. So once the validation stage is completed successfully, the next stage will be the compilation stage. Okay. So under compilation stage, what the Maven will do is Maven will compile the source code. Okay, so Maven will compile the source code, and if the compilation also success, in the next stage, the testing Maven will validate the test cases. Suitable test cases will be tested by the Maven. Here it is like a unit testing. Okay, so just we are going to get the test cases from the development team. So just what the Maven will do is Maven will validate whether the test cases are successfully validated or not as per the given information from the dev team. Okay, so how this testing is going to happen is so let us consider in our code, right? We are trying to check the functionality of some, let us consider, so we are trying to test the functionality of addition. Okay, so that is our code, let us consider. Okay, so addition means just we are going to add some a plus b equal to c, let us consider. Okay, so this functionality we are trying to test. Okay, so in that case what our development team will do is our development team will write the logic for this. Okay, we'll write the logic for this, and they will provide these details also, so these inputs also they will provide a b c inputs also. They will provide a, they will provide b, and they will provide c output also. Okay, so what our Maven will do is it will use this a and b. It will test whether a plus b is matching c or not. If it matches, test cases will be validated successfully. If it fails, test cases will be failed. Okay, so like that testing will happen in the testing phase. Okay, so once we completed the testing, right? So the next operation will be the packaging. So under packaging, okay, so the Maven will generate the artifacts. Maven will generate the artifacts like Java archive, web archive, enterprise archive files. Okay, jar var year files will be generated by the Maven. Okay, so once we have these artifacts, then the next phase will be the install phase. Under install phase, these artifacts will be installed to the local repo. Okay, the artifacts will be copied to the local repo. And another phase we will have is another stage we have is deployment stage. So under deploy stage, what are the artifacts we got, right? These artifacts will be copied to the remote repositories. Okay, we can copy these artifacts to the remote servers or remote repositories. Okay, so these are the different stages we have under default phase. Okay, so this is very important interview question you are going to get. So explain about Maven life cycle, like that you will get the question. Okay, so then we have to explain all these things. So in the clean phase, what is going to happen? In the site phase, what is going to happen? In the default phase, what are the different stages we will have? So what is the importance of each and every stage? All these things we have to explain. Okay. So these are the different phases we have with the Maven life cycle. And also while working with Maven, right? So we have to define the goals. Okay. So we have to define the goals for the Maven. So Maven, from where we are going to define the goals. So in the pom.xml file, we are going to define all the required goals. Okay, so who is it going to define? Our dev team will define, no need to bother. Okay, so dev team will define the goals of the Maven. Okay, what are the required goals? All the goals will be defined in the pom.xml file of the dev team. Okay, so what are the different types of goals we'll get here is, so we'll get the clean, that is compile. Okay, test goal, packaging goal, install goal, deploy goal, clean goal. So these are the different goals we can see with the Maven. Okay, so while working with the Maven, we have to provide, so which goal we are targeting. Okay, so all these goals will be available in the pom.xml file. So out of this, so which goal we are targeting, that information we have to provide while building our project, while triggering the project, right? With the help of the Maven, we have to define which goal we are targeting. Okay, so here under compile goal, so what this Maven will do is Maven will compile our source code. What are the source code we got, right? So that source code will be compiled in the compile call. So here the command is mvn compile. This command we have to use. Okay, so while building our project, right? So we have to use the command as mvn compile. Okay, mvn compile is the command we have to use. And the next goal we can define is a test goal. So under test goal, right? So we already discussed, right? So how the testing is going to happen. The same thing happen here also, but we have to define the goal as mvn test. This is the syntax, this is the command. Okay, so to define the test goal, the command is mvn test. So whenever we define mvn test command, so what this maven will do is maven will perform two activities. So what are the two activities maven is going to perform? So maven will compile the project, maven will test the project, but we are defining only mvn test. Even though we are defining only mvn test, so maven will compile, then maven will test the code. Both the operations will be performed by the maven. Okay, so another goal we can define is packaging. Okay, so the command is mvn package. Mvn package is the command to perform the packaging operation. Okay, so once we define mvn package, what this maven will do, maven will perform the testing, maven will do the packaging. So these two operations will be performed here. Okay, so even though we are defining only mvn package, so maven will test and maven will package the code. So both the operations will be performed here. Okay, so what is the meaning of test here? Again, it will compile test. Okay, so compile, test, package. These operations will be happen with the mvn package. So similarly, we have install. Okay, so the command is mvn install. So mvn install is the command. So we can copy our artifacts. Okay, copy the package to the local repository. Whenever we define the goal as mvn install, so what are the artifacts we are getting from the maven, right? So that artifacts will be copied to the local repo, that is a maven home directory. Okay, and in the maven home directory we'll have local repository, maven local repository. In that local repository, so these packages will be copied. Okay, so next one is deploy. So deploy goal, under deploy goal, so we can push our artifacts to the remote or central servers. We can push the artifacts to the remote server or central servers. Okay, so in that case we have to define the remote server details. Okay, so just we are going to use the copy command. By using the copy command, we are going to define the local file, that is a local file path, and that is a source path, source file path, and destination path. All these details we have to define while deploying. Okay, so another goal we have is a clean goal. The command is mvn clean command. Okay, mvn clean command. So what this mvn clean command will do? So it, as usual, it will clean up the workspace. It will clean up the old build history. So if you have any old builds, the old build history will be cleaned up. The command is mvn clean. Okay, so to perform the clean operation, the command is mvn clean. So these are called single goal executions. Okay, so single goal executions means we are going to perform only one goal. mvn compile will perform compilation, mvn test will perform testing, like that. Okay, so similarly we can define multi goal executions also while working with the maven. Okay, we can define multi goal executions also while working with the maven. So how the multi goal execution we can define? So you see, so single goal execution mvn package, this is the command we can use. And for multi goal execution we can define mvn clean package. In that case, what this maven will do, so it will clean up the old build history, then it will perform the packaging operation. Okay, so in this way we can perform the multi goal execution also with the help of the maven. Okay, so these are the goals. So this is also one of the important interview question. Okay, so what are the goals? How can you define the goal? What is the command for mvn for testing? If you want to test it by using the maven, what is the command? So what is the command here? mvn test. Okay, so mvn test is the command. So like that. So we'll get interview questions from this also, from this topic also. Okay, and then, so another important thing here is while working with Maven, right, the folder structure of the code, source code and target is very important. Okay, So while working with Maven, the fold structure is very important. So means where we have to maintain our source code. What is the default location? Okay. So what is the default location for the source code? What is the default location for the pom.xml file? So where we can define the test cases. So what is the default location of the target folder? So these are very important while working with the Maven. Okay, so folder structure is very important. So for coming to the folder structure for source code, always the source code for the Maven project will be maintained under project directory src main java. This is the default location for the source code. Okay, so project directory is nothing but uh, whenever we create a project, right? Okay, one directory with the project name will be created, right? Okay, so under workspace, right? So that directory will become the project directory. Okay, so that, so under project directory, so where this project directory will be available, this project directory will be available under workspace. Okay, project directory will be available under workspace. So under workspace, there will be one folder created with the project name, right? So under that particular project name, so whatever the path we have, that one become the project directory. Okay, so in our case, we have some projects, right? So here, try to go to the adding Jenkins. Okay, so here you can see workspace directory. Go to the workspace directory. So under workspace directory, we have some projects, right? So go to the git checkout project. Okay, so now current working directory. So what is the current working directory here? So valib Jenkins workspace git checkout. So this is the project directory for git checkout project. Okay, so this is the project directory for git checkout project. Similarly, for my project one, what will be the project directory for my project one? So for my project one, so this is the project directory. So valid Jenkins workspace my project one. This is the project directory for my project one. Like this. So for every project, there will be one directory maintained. Okay, for every project, there will be one directory created under workspace. That particular directory will become the project directory. Okay, so where we are going to maintain the source code, we are going to maintain the source code in the project directory. Under project directory, what is the path? So the path is under project directory. There will be one src directory will be created. Main directory will be created. Under main directory, under Java folder, all the source code will be available. So is it clear? So you can see the same structure. So we have GitHub repo, right? So go to the GitHub repo. If you see our the project, right? So what is the project we are using here? ARSR is the project we are using, right? So go to this particular project. So here, you see, under project directory, there will be pom. So pom.xml will be available, and go to the my app. So under my app, you see SRC. So here, this is the project directory. So this is the project directory. Hello world. Yeah, ARSR 319 hello world is the project directory. Under project directory, so we have SRC. So the same thing you can see here. Under project directory, we have SRC. Under SRC, there will be main. Check whether we have main here. So go to the SRC. So you see, we have main here. We have main. Okay. So main is available here. Okay. So after this main, after the main, we have to have Java. So go to the main. So go to the main. So under main, you can see Java here. Okay, under Java, com. my company. So this structure is so every time we have to follow this structure. Every time we have to follow this structure. Okay, so this is where we are going to maintain the source code. This is where this is the location. Okay, in this location we have to maintain the source code. What is the location here? src main java. This is the important structure. Okay, so under project directory src main java for source code. Similarly, for pom.xml file, so what is the location? The parent pom.xml file will be available under project directory. By default, under project directory, pom.xml file will be available. So now go to the project directory. So this is the project directory, right? So under project directory, you see we have pom.xml file. This is the parent pom. Okay, so pom.xml file is available under project directory. Okay, similarly, test cases, where we are going to define the test cases. So we are going to define the test cases under project directory src. Okay, so src and test java. This is the location. So now go to the project directory. So we are on project directory. Okay, so under project directory, so go to the src. So this is src. Under src, you can see test java. Test java is available under test java. App test java, this is the test cases. Okay, these this is the location of the test cases. So what is the location for test cases? So under project directory src test java. Okay, so under project directory src test java, this is the default location of the test cases. So from this location only maven will get the test cases. Okay, similarly we'll have target folder. So what is the location of the target folder? So actually, what is this target folder? So target folder is nothing but the folder which will be created once we build the project. Okay, so once we build the project and once we got the artifacts. Okay, so after getting the artifacts, all the artifacts will be stored under target folder. Okay, so what is the location of the artifacts? Artifacts will be stored under target folder. So where this target folder will be available? This target folder will be available under project directory. Target folder will be available under project directory. So this target folder will be created once we package the code, once the build is completed. After the completion of the build only, target folder will be created. Okay, after the completion of the build only, target folder will be created. Now we cannot see this target folder. Okay, now go to any project, right? So because we don't have any source code up to now, so for these projects, okay, so we didn't perform any build on the source code by using the maven. Okay, so up to now we didn't use the maven, so we cannot see the target folder. Okay, so when this target folder will be created, once we got the artifacts, once the maven generated the artifacts, that artifacts will be created under target folder. Okay, so where this target folder will be available? This target folder will be available under project directory. Okay, so now check ls. So this is the project directory. There is no target folder. Okay, so we are under my project one. There is no target folder. Why there is no target folder? Because so still we didn't use maven. Still we didn't perform packaging operation. Okay, so once we perform packaging, after that only this target directory will be created. Okay, similarly go to git checkout project. So check ls. You see we have these. So we have my pom.xml file is there, but target folder is not there. Why target folder is not there? Because still we didn't use the maven. Okay, so this target folder will be created once we build with the help of the maven. So while building with the help of the maven, right, while performing the build operation with the maven, right, so we have to define the goal as package. When we are going to get the artifacts, so what we will have in this target folder? In this target folder we will have artifacts. Okay, when we are going to get the artifacts, artifacts will be generated at packaging stage. Okay, artifacts will be generated at packaging stage. Okay, so once we complete this packaging operation, after that only artifacts will be available. Okay, so this is how the Maven is going to work. So any doubts up to now? So whatever we discussed today, right? These are very important. Mostly you will get interview questions in these topics. So any doubts up to now? Okay. Now, so what we have to do is we need a Maven. So if you want to work with the Maven, right? So we have to install Maven. So for Maven, Java is the prerequisite. If we want to install Maven on our server, right? We need Java. So Maven will work on top of the Java only. Okay. So check whether Java is available or not. So Java hyphen version. So we have OpenJDK 2.21.0.7. So Java is available. Okay, so Java is available now. So and now as we have Java, so we can install Maven. So before installing Maven, so we have to execute sudo apt-get update. Then we can install by using the sudo apt-install Maven command. Okay, so before installing Maven, check whether we have Maven. How can we check? Mvn version. This is the command. Check the version of the Maven. So Maven not found. We can install Maven by using the apt install Maven command. So try to install this apt install Maven command. Okay. So now check whether Maven is available. So mvn version Apache Maven 3.8.7. This is the Maven version we installed. And this is the Maven home directory. What is the Maven home directory? Use or share Maven. This is the Maven home directory we have. Okay. So now we have Maven installed. Okay. So once we have Maven, right? So we can use this Maven to create our to build the project. Okay. Next, what we are going to do is so we are going to so what we are going to do is so up to now what we did. So try to log into our Jenkins UI. Try to log into our Jenkins UI. So use public IP address. Colon 8080. Try to log in into our Jenkins UI. Okay. So now, so what we are going to do here is so up to now we complete this git checkout, right? So git checkout we completed. So what we did with the git checkout? So with the git checkout, right? So if you see here, so we have GitHub repo. Okay, so we have GitHub repo, SCM repository. So from the GitHub repo, by using the Git checkout project, so we pulled our source code. Okay, by using Git checkout project, we pulled our source code to the Jenkins server. Okay, so that we created one project, that is a Git checkout project. So with the Git checkout project, we pulled our source code from the SCM repository, GitHub. So github.com, from github.com. So um, we pulled our source code. Okay, so now the source code is available in our Jenkins server. Okay, so once the source code is available in our Jenkins server, next what we are going to build the code. Okay, next we are going to build the code. So we are going to compile the code. Okay, so the next project we are going to create is, so compile, Maven compile. We are using Maven. So Maven. So the next operation is Maven compile is what we are going to do here. Okay, Maven compile. So here, so to do this Maven compile, we need Maven installed. So we already installed Maven. Okay, so we already have Maven in our server, Jenkins server. Okay, so now we have to create one Maven project to perform the compilation operation. Okay, so for that, so go to the Jenkins UI. So try to create a new item. So try to create one Maven compile project. So give the name of the project as Maven compile one. Okay, this is the project name I'm giving. And the type of the project, freestyle project only. Still, we are discussing about freestyle project only. So select the freestyle project, click on OK. So now here, so what we have to do? What is our goal here? Maven compile is the goal. So what is the command for Maven compile? What command we have to use? Goals, right? Always, whenever we are working with Maven, right? We have to check these goals. What goal we are performing? We are doing compilation, right? What is the command? MVN compile is the command. We have to use the goal as MVN compile. We have to define this goal. Okay. So now where we are going to define this goal? So this goal we are going to define under build steps. Under build steps, we are defining the goal. So under build steps, so execute shell, under execute shell. So we are going to define the goal as MVN compile. This is the goal we are going to define. Okay. And just echo message I'm giving. This is a Maven compile process. Okay. So and now one more thing here is, if you want to compile the code, okay, you have to get the code, right? You have to get the code. You have to define. So where our source code is available, Okay. Now we defined goal part completed, but we have to define the location of the source code. Where we can define the location of the source code? Under source code management. Under source code management, go to the Git. Okay. So and here we have to provide our repo URL. So what is the repo we are using? We are using this repository. So this is the code we are using. By using this code, we are trying to compile the project. This is the code. Okay. A repo URL we have to provide. So repo URL. and the branch is master branch only. So we are getting the code from master branch only. If there is a change in the branch, we can change the branch. We can change the branch here. Okay. So no need to bother about other settings. No need to bother about other settings. So we had to define the source code management, SCM report details, and then we had to define the build steps. We had to define the build steps. Under build steps, we define our code. This is our MVN compile is the goal we are performing. Okay. So now apply, save. Okay. So now go to our jobs directory. So cd valid Jenkins. So now go to the jobs directory. Under jobs directory, you can see Maven compile project is available. Now go to Maven compile project. So under Maven compile project, you can see config.xml file, cat config.xml file. So you can see all the details, whatever we provided, right? Okay. So we have given echo command, we have given mvn compile command. You see, mvn compile command is defined, echo command is defined here, and we defined source code also, right? So this is the source code we defined, GitHub repo we defined. Okay. So URL HTTPS. This is the project we are trying to use. Okay, all the details will be available under jobs directory. Now, so go to the workspace directory. So go to the workspace directory. So cd workspace. So under workspace, you see, Maven project is not available. Maven compile project is not available. So why it is not available under workspace directory? What is the reason? What is the reason why Maven compile is not available in the workspace? For the project, workspace will be created once we build the project. Okay, once we build the project, then only workspace will be created. As still we didn't perform any build. You see, no builds. There is no builds. And go to the dashboard now. You see, so Maven compile is the project. Still no build happen. Okay, so go to this particular project, Maven compile one project, and so try to build the project. So no builds as of now, no builds there. So try to build the project, build now, build scheduled. So build is on process. Go to the console output. So check the status. Okay, so here compilation is successfully completed. Compilation is done now, and you can get all the information here. Okay, so if you want to check the complete log, right? So this is the log we have. You see, downloading from central repository. What are the dependencies we have under that particular pom.xml file, right? So that dependencies and properties it is trying to download from the central repository. This is the central repository. Okay. So from the central repository, it is trying to download all the properties, whatever we defined in the pom.xml file. Okay. So finally, our project is successfully completed. Compilation is completed successfully. Okay, so this is how we can compile the project. Okay, so just we have to define the goal. So depending on the goal, the required action will be performed by the Maven. Who did the compilation? Maven performed this compilation. Okay, so now go to the project here. Go to the project. So under workspace earlier we have only two projects, right? Now check here ls. Yeah, we see Maven compile also available now. As we build the project, whenever we build the project, workspace will be created for that particular project. That is the reason why we can see Maven compile project also here. Maven compile and all the source code details will be available. But here target folder is not there. You can see target is not available. Target folder is not available because so when the target folder will be created, when the target folder will be created here, so target folder will be created once we package the code. Once we package the code, just we executed compilation only. Okay, so next we have to do test. Next we have to do packaging. So once we do packaging, at that time only we'll get the artifacts, and this target folder will be created after packaging operation only. Okay, so any doubts up to now?